College Football Podcast. I just had a brain fart and forgot how I normally do the introduction. That's super embarrassing. Joined as always by Clinton Boring. My name is Ryan Satkowiak. It is the last week of October, which means Clinton, maybe not this time next week, but this time tomorrow, next week, we will have Midweek MACtion on.
We
Our
will also
national
have our
nightmare is
first
over.
college football playoff ranking show next Tuesday.
I'm sure that is not going to anger me at all from all the dumb takes that we're going to get
I
from
was
that,
gonna
but
say,
that's okay.
I don't really care where people are ranked. I just want the spicy takes for people complaining is why their team is where they are.
Just it's such a
Why is
useless
Alabama
TV
not
show.
number one?
Yeah,
South
just such a
Carolina should be 5.
yeah. South Carolina, they're 3-5. They just had a tough fought game against Alabama. Put them in the top 25.
I'm surprised I didn't see Paul Feinbaum today saying how good Mississippi State is and that win
Oh
that
boy,
Texas had over them should be meaningful
I fucking caramba.
because
That
nobody else in the country would be able to go to Starkville, Mississippi and beat Mississippi State.
well, Arizona State didn't. So
That is true. Arizona State just got their ass kicked by Houston too, so Houston's for
pretty
real.
good. Houston's a good team.
They're
The
good.
Big 12, ACC are both real interesting at this point, just because
Mhm.
anything can happen over the last month. With that in mind, sir, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good, man. It was a good afternoon. I got some extra time with the boys today. So we went to the park after preschool wrapped up, had fun, played outside, whipped up some burgers indoors because it would
Boigas.
take too long to heat my grill up outside by the time I got started to cook dinner. So we had burgers and brats. I'm going to save my brats for tomorrow at lunch, but all in all, it was a good day. It was a beautiful day. I think we're due for 3 days of rain coming up here in Columbus, so I'm not looking
Yeah.
forward to that. Trick or treat is Thursday night, and it's supposed to be a monsoon. So I'm not overly thrilled about being drenched while walking my children through my neighborhood for 2 hours to be wet. So that might also be a 9:15-ish start night for us, unless we truly get washed out for Halloween. But I'm good. How are you? Your voice sounds better.
Wait, 9:15 start for what?
Our Thursday night show. Pick 'em.
Oh shit! I thought Halloween's on Friday. What the fuck are you doing Halloween on Thursday for?
Trick or treat is Thursday night
Why?
because that's when everyone's doing it, pretty much.
That's not
Although
Halloween.
Hilliard did theirs last week, I think, or something weird for
Oh
Halloween.
Jesus Christ!
No, I think the purpose is so that it's not on a Friday night, so that
No.
people can go like live their life on a Friday, and then Thursday's kind of meaningless. So, yes, I will do my best to be on here by 9:15, but no promises. I will have children hyped up on candy at that point.
I'm all jacked
And
up on
wet.
Mountain Dew chip. Yeah, that's two things you don't like to have combined. There is a wet, jacked up on sugar child running through your house. Not that I would know. No, I'm still fucking sick, man. My cough is just killing me, and it's like giving me head and neck pain whenever I cough now, and I'm just kind of over it at this point in time.
Your carotid arteries are blocked. That's the problem.
That's fine if they just decide to stop allowing blood to my brain. It'd be doing me a favor.
It's too much. Eat too much pizza. Too much cheese.
I did make on Saturday chili cheese Frito crusted mozzarella sticks, and I got to tell you, they were fantastic.
You just lost me in all the verbiage you just used to describe a mozzarella stick, but I would try it.
So
I would
instead of
try it.
using like breadcrumbs, I crushed up chili cheese Fritos and used that as the breading.
Interesting. Sounds healthy.
Yeah, totally. There's protein in cheese.
Yeah. Hey man, we're just about 2 weeks out, right, from our trip.
3, I think.
2 weeks from
No,
Wednesday.
Yeah, 2 weeks. 2 weeks from Wednesday. 2 weeks from Thursday, technically.
It's go time.
I should probably book my hotel in Seattle.
Yeah, you might want to do that. Who
That's
is
a big
Seattle
city.
playing?
Winnipeg, I think.
Okay, that's an easy win for the Kraken.
Winnipeg won the West last year.
Kidding. Oh, I can't have a Kareem Hunt touchdown here. Anyways, thank you all for joining us tonight. We are on to essentially wrapping up Week 9, heading into Week 10 of college football season. Tonight, we're going to reveal our Rollin Player of the Week for Week 9. We're going to talk about Brian Hartline, head coach to Penn State. We're going to talk about the proposed 24-team expanded playoff that will be on the docket and have to be decided by mid-December, I believe. Otherwise, we'll be sticking with the 12-team playoff beyond 2026 for a while. And then we're going to give you guys some dudes. And in the year past, we've done dudes of the week. But since this is the first time of the year that we've done this and we are now in week 10, we're just giving you dudes. Guys that we think have had a huge impact on their team to help them get to where they are to this point in the season. Guys that have just been very impressive to us having covered these teams. So for tonight, it's just dudes. Ryan, let's start with Rollin Player of the Week. Rollin Player of the Week for Inside the Pylon Week 9. I had a tough decision here, Ryan. There were a couple running backs who had some really good weeks for us. Emmett Johnson was really good. Jordan Marshall was really good. However, those two were not mentioned. It came down to repeat customer Justice Haynes for Michigan or the guy I went with for week 9, Northwestern running back Caleb Komolafe. 17 carries, 125 yards, 2 touchdowns, averaging 7.4 yards per carry, and he had a long of 56 yards. Yes, I know the Northwestern loss. We did not say this award had to go to somebody in a win. Just thoroughly impressed with Caleb. Yes, Justice Haynes was very close, but he had, I believe, 25 carries for 154 yards, and so his average was a little bit less, and he didn't have as good of a long carry as Caleb. So I decided to go with a newcomer. So congratulations, Northwestern running back Caleb Komolafe. If you hear this and retweet it, we'll send you a sticker.
Sticker.
There it is.
Get your stickers.
Get your sticker, brother. We'll send it to you. We'll tag you in that tomorrow.
Have you even been sending them out and tagging them?
Buddy, I'm trying my best. I have been so freaking swamped. And now, in the management spot I'm in, we have chart reviews due. Those are due Monday. Added to the fact that I mean this in the most positive / non bad way possible, but Leah's aunt is still hanging on much longer than we thought she would. So we've been kind of crazy. I had 2 birthday parties this week. It's been a crazy scenario over the past week and a half. And I have kind of fallen off on my weekly tweets. So I will get back into that as soon as I can. But yes, my plan will be to tweet out for Caleb tomorrow, and we'll see if he gives us a little shout out for his ITP Player of the Week.
There you go. Good stuff.
Where do you want to go next? Heartline? No. You know what? You know where we should go next, Ryan? I want you to laugh at Brian Kelly.
And take your hands out of your pockets, please.
This is a level of Schadenfreude that I didn't know existed, Clinton. The unbridled joy of another man's suffering. Although he's probably not suffering too much because
he's getting $54 million.
He has more money than I would ever know what to do with.
How would you like you to show up to work tomorrow and them to tell you, Ryan, you could just, we're going to go the other way. You can have $54 million.
Fuck, dude. Even if they were like, we're going to continue paying your monthly salary for the next 6 years, I'd still be fucking happy, man.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do a goddamn
thing. And you
can
still work and get another job potentially while we're paying you.
Fuck that. I would not leave my house.
I
would get so fat. I would get DoorDash well, actually, that's not true because I don't make enough to get DoorDash every single time. But anyway.
Ryan would then be popular and make the show My 600-Pound Life on TLC.
There you go. No,
he would be eating all these chili crusted mozzarella sticks that he could get.
This would be a weekly segment on Inside the Pylon. What disgusting masterpiece did Ryan consume this week?
We wouldn't be able to see your jerseys anymore. You'd be too damn big in the screen for us to see it.
No, man, it's just so funny. It's so funny. I have a hot take that I have I've heard nothing to substantiate this at all. This is just me thinking out loud. My hot take is that 4 years ago when he left Notre Dame for LSU, he didn't actually want to leave Notre Dame. He was just sick and tired of being a college football coach. And when LSU came and said, we will give you a 10-year fully guaranteed contract, he saw his golden parachute to completely check out on doing anything that is the semblance of a college football coach. Because he was a lazy motherfucking recruiter and everything when he was at Notre Dame. And it sounds like that did not change at LSU at all.
Wait, he had those dancing videos. Wasn't that Nussmeier he was dancing with in that one clip?
No, it was, I think, Walker Howard, I think.
Oh, even worse.
Yeah, who's on his third school now, I think. Yeah, man, it's really funny. And for 3 years, people told Notre Dame fans that they were wrong and that they were bitter, jilted ex-lovers because they shit on the man on the way out. And he did so much for your program, and that's true. He built the program up from the depths of despair that it had sunk to under Bob Davie and Tyrone Willingham and Charlie Weiss, and he deserved credit for that. But something happened in 2016 when they sucked ass, and the athletic director pulled him into the office and basically told him, you are reworking your entire staff or you're fired. And I don't know what it was, but that was kind of the beginning of the end. And they were fine after that, but Clinton, he has now lost to 2 of his last 3 defensive coordinators this season. And the third one is coaching the team that he was just at to heights that he couldn't even dream of achieving. Who was the successful one in those relationships? It makes you think. Was it the head coach or was it the wildly successful defensive coordinators who are now wildly successful head coaches at 3 different programs?
Well, Ryan, I think there's a certain prominent college football
for
talk
fuck's
show
sake.
and podcaster out there that you should read what they wrote when Brian
So,
Kelly left Notre Dame.
This shit fucking annoys me about sports media is when something like this happened and all of a sudden it's like free reins to just like shit on a guy because you're going to air dirty laundry that you knew. And that's what Josh Pate did today. He posted his video from his show or whatever the fuck on his Twitter today. Brian Kelly checked that on LSU long before tonight, and he was talking about how, oh, well, you guys heard a tone shift in me with Brian Kelly this year. And he was talking about how over the summer he heard that Brian Kelly was at the beach when LSU was doing recruiting events and he wasn't hiring staff and he didn't know his staff and bullshit. Like, motherfucker, Notre Dame fans told you that this is who this motherfucker was. He was doing this long before he was at LSU. And now you're going to sit here and after the fact be like, well, I heard this stuff long ago and now you're going to air it. So I found a post dated November 29th, 2021, posted on the 24/7 LSU, whatever their message board is, from one Josh Pate. We discussed this name, that name being Brian Kelly, on this very board several weeks back, and I told you he'd be my ideal candidate, but I never believed it was possible. Apparently it was possible. If Woodward closes this, it's beyond a grand slam. I have listened to the doubters and have yet to hear a logical reason why LSU folks shouldn't be over the moon excited about... Why the fuck did that pop up there? Oh, fuck off. Excited about this. Brian Kelly has essentially been trying to compete in the Daytona 500 with a Prius, given the limitations at Notre Dame relative to college football's Tier 1. What? To even have them consistently in the college football playoff convo has been incredible. If you want to know how incredible it was, keep an eye on the program once he leaves. That same program that has won in the last 12 months 3 more playoff games than Brian Kelly did in 10 years. Go fuck yourself, dude.
And
You're
made a
fucking
national
schmuck.
championship.
And made a national... Well, Brian Kelly made a national championship, and his team lost the game before they...
At least they were competitive. That wasn't in the playoff era, though, to be fair.
No.
He made it in the BCS era.
No, he made 2 college football playoffs and got fucking steamrolled both times.
No, his national championship, though, was 2012, right?
Yes, that was not in the playoff era.
That's what
But
I meant.
he made 2 subsequent playoff appearances.
And you guys got murdered.
Steamrolled both times.
Fatality.
Yeah, those were 3 fatalities. So yes, the Grand Slam hire has been fired. Meanwhile, the program that he left is on never better than ever footing. They're about to sign their best recruiting class in the fucking internet recruiting era. But yes, keep an eye on the program after he leaves. Dumbass.
Here's what I would say. He would then somehow try to spin that. He'd just be like, "Well, see, I told you to keep an eye on him. I didn't say
Well,
it.
that's
be
his
bad."
fucking. This is good old boy shtick. Is I'm gonna say something dumb and controversial, and then play it off as, oh wow, I really played myself. No, you're just a fucking moron, dude. Own up to it. Fuck off.
We own up to
Fucking
our
can't
bad
stand this
takes.
shit. All my takes are bad. I'm up front that this is not serious, and I am an idiot.
Yeah.
You'll
So
know if
she-
I'm being serious.
your
I'm
betting
being
takes.
serious right now. Yeah, my betting takes. Oh God, nope. There's a
He's
reason I don't.
he's gonna
post
go
my-
find one of your Ryan's bets of the week and quote you, like, "Who's this jackass?"
There's a reason I don't post my best bets anymore because they are, in fact, worse bets. Fuck that guy.
Yeah.
Anyway,
We kind of saw it coming. This side note, this coaching carousel is gonna be insane,
so
and
there's going to be some reverberations throughout
that kind of
the entire college football world. Uh-oh. Is someone breaking
You're
into
fine.
your house?
Give me 1 second. No. I'll be right back. Start the Brian Hartline conversation. A timer's going off upstairs, so I'll be right back.
Uh-oh. Okay. Well, while a bomb is going off in Clinton's house somewhere, we'll talk about the next point of discussion here, and that is a report that has surfaced on the internet, and I don't remember who it originated from, that Ohio State offensive coordinator Brian Hartline has emerged as a candidate of interest in the Penn State head coaching search, which to me is a fascinating hire, and especially in the context of this current head coaching carousel where if you're Penn State, you were already having to compete for head coaches with Florida. Now you're going to have to compete with LSU. LSU, sorry, Penn State fans, that is undoubtedly a better job than yours is. And I think Florida, you can make an argument it is too, just given the proximity to talent. Certainly, you can make an argument that it's easier to win at Penn State in the Big Ten than it would be at Florida in the SEC. But those are two jobs you're going to have to compete for. So you're going to have to go off the wall with your head coaching candidate a little bit. And I think given what we have seen work and be successful in college football over the last 5 years or so, to me, it feels like the way to go with this hire is that up and coming candidate who has proven that he can be a good recruiter at a high level program and give him the chance to build a staff and establish a culture around that, as opposed to trying to poach a sitting Power 4 coach at a similar level and hoping for the best, i.e. Matt Rule. Like, that's an uninspired hire, and you're going to end up in the same fucking spot in 5 years if you try to do that. So, Clinton, we were talking about this a little bit off air today. It is certainly a risk, and I think that's why a lot of these higher level programs are reticent to do something like this, is because you weigh that cost benefit analysis and you know that there is a high reward for this, but there's also an unfathomable risk hiring a first time head coach at a program like Penn State. But sometimes to take that next step, as we've seen at some programs, right? Oregon hired Dan Lanning as Kirby Smart's defensive coordinator. Georgia hired Kirby Smart as Nick Saban's defensive coordinator. You know, Ohio State promoted Ryan Day from within as offensive coordinator. Notre Dame promoted Marcus Freeman from defensive coordinator from within. There were risks to all these hires, but they've all paid incredible dividends for these programs. And I think for Penn State, you've been kind of stuck in this mushy middle for 10 years with James Franklin. Sometimes to break through that ceiling, you have to take a massive swing for the fences, knowing that, hey, if we swing and miss here, it's going to look ugly. But if we get bad on the ball here, it is going to be a huge hit.
So I think it would be a massive swing for Penn State to go for Brian Hartline. He has done nothing yet in his coaching career to tell you that he wouldn't be successful with the next step up. He is elite at recruiting, arguably the best recruiter in all of the country. He's proven as a position coach at wide receiver, and Penn State would benefit from both of those. Elite recruiting and then the ability to recruit and then develop wide receivers, obviously. He's been around Ryan Day and Urban Meyer to learn from their staffs and how to be a coach, not just a position coach, but a head coach. Here's my mild concern. He's essentially not even through 1 year yet as an official offensive coordinator. He doesn't need to call plays when he goes to Penn State, but having those experiences and time with that is beneficial, I believe, in helping you become a more well-balanced head coach.
For sure.
he needs to be able to lead an entire team. He has to be able to deal with media. He has to be able to handle the hiring and potential firing of OCs and DCs and other staff hires that he would need to fill out a team. He's not going to get the help from a Ryan Day or someone like that to help him boost that. My other piece is Penn State's not just looking to go 10-2 or below. They need and they want better. Otherwise, James Franklin would still be there. So let's say Hartline is a home run hire, but he doesn't get there till 3 or 4 years. Is Penn State willing to wait for this move to take time? My example of this was Tony Elliott, Clemson's offensive coordinator. He was fantastic from 2025 to 2021. Takes the Virginia job in 2021, and he is 18-24 overall in 4 years. Subtract 7 of those wins and the 1 loss, and he's 11-23 because 7 of those wins have come this year as Virginia sits 7-1. But his first 3 years, 3-7, 3-9, 5-7. Can Penn State afford a potential 4-8 first year, and then a 5-7 second year, and then to see what you can get in a 3rd, 4th, 5th year with Brian Hartline? Would they be willing to wait? Because my guess would be Hartline would get something in the neighborhood of maybe a 3-year deal, probably about $4 million a year for a guy who would be a first time. I would imagine Ohio State would be willing to swing the bat at paying Brian Hartline $4 million to be their offensive coordinator. If Ross Bjork was willing to pay Jimbo Fisher all that money just to lose, I'm sure Ryan Day would break his fingers off to pay his OC $4 million to stay. So again, I think it would be a fantastic swing. And as an Ohio State fan, this isn't me being bitter. I know Brian Hartline's going to move on at some point, unless Ryan Day is telling him behind the scenes, I'm going to the NFL after this year, and this job is yours. Then I certainly think he is due to move on. I think if I'm a Penn State fan, I might want someone that's had a little more experience in the OC realm. Not necessarily another head coach, but the OC realm, i.e. Joe Brady, the offensive coordinator for the Bills. He's a former Penn State grad assistant. The Bills owner, Terry Pagula, is a Penn State grad and could possibly influence Brady to go back to Penn State to lead this team if they're interested. Matt Rule, I still think, is the preferred option. Taking, Ty Hildenbrandt's comments to us that he still thinks it's going to be Matt Rule. Ty is pretty well in the know with Penn State stuff. If he feels confident, and, we listen to him all the time, maybe he has a change of heart here soon. That's certainly possible. I think he'd be open to Brian Hartline. Actually, I'd be curious to get his thoughts on that. We might have to hit him up and see what he thinks. Guys like Manny Diaz, Dan Mullen, Matt Campbell, Alex Golish, John Sumrall, those guys are all being brought up. I still think Bob Chesney is a great name, and I know he's already a head coach, but kind of that Cignetti route, which is what everybody wants, right? Remember in the NFL a few years back, Ryan, everybody wanted the next Sean McVay? Well, everybody in college football seems to want the next Curt Cignetti. Laughed at Indiana last year because they thought this 60-plus-year-old man was going to come in and get his ass beat in the Big Ten. And here he is year 2, and he's number 2 team in the country. Those guys, I think, are all still viable, and I'm sure there are other coordinators that I have not mentioned that Penn State will be looking at. I'd also be curious if Brian Hartline gets the job. You think he'd keep Jim Knowles?
That'd be funny.
That would be an interesting scenario there. But again, if Penn State's willing to take the shot, I think it could very well pay off. I think what you may need to do is be patient. And here's another thing that could falsely give them hope if maybe Hartline doesn't pan out, is next year's schedule sucks. So you or I might be able to coach Penn State to 10-2 next year. So if Hartline, let's say, takes the job and they go 10-2, make the playoff, whatever, they lose their first game, lose their second game, whatever, and then they go to the next year and the schedule's harder, and now they're 8-4, 7-5, how happy are you with that? How happy can you be with that? So I think it'd be a great addition for them. I would love to see Brian Hartline, if he takes a job, to stay within the Big Ten. I still don't think he's going to end up there. I think it's worth taking a look. I think you'd be dumb not to. It's kind of like Penn State not calling Marcus Freeman, right? Like, you're going to call him. I'm sure they had someone hopefully call Ryan Day to him. Like, hey, you want to come coach with Jim Knowles again? And his agent's like, nah, fuck off.
No,
I'm
don't
not
even.
doing this shit.
No.
So,
You had me till you said Jim Knowles.
yeah, I was going, and you said Jimmy had to be there, and no, I'm done.
So I wanted to bring this point up because I was thinking a little bit about where current successful programs got their coaches from. And it seems like there's this desire from athletic directors, especially at these bigger programs, to, win the press conference, make the splashy hire, put the scalp on your resume. Oh, I bribed Notre Dame's all-time winningest coach to come to LSU to win national championships, and now we're paying him $50 million to go away, but don't put that on my resume. Also, fucking how Scott Woodward still has a job is beyond me. This motherfucker's cost taxpayers in 2 different states over $100 million just in buyouts. Get the fuck out of here. Go get a real job, bro. You're a bum too. But Glenn, if you look at the playoff teams from last year, 9 of the 12 teams in the college football playoff hired their sitting head coach as a coordinator, either from a different program or promoting from within, including all 4 teams who had first round buys. So to recap this, in case you forgot who was in the playoff last year, Oregon with Dan Lanning hired from Georgia as their defensive coordinator. The number 2 seed Georgia hired Kirby Smart from Alabama as defensive coordinator. 3 seed Boise State Spencer Danielson was promoted from within after Andy Avalos was fired. 4th seed Kenny Dillingham at Arizona State was hired as Oregon's offensive coordinator. 5th seed Texas Steve Sarkisian, even though he had previous head coaching experience, his most recent role before Texas was as Alabama's OC. 7th seed Notre Dame Marcus Freeman promoted as defensive coordinator. 8th seed Ohio State Ryan Day promoted from offensive coordinator. 11th seed SMU Rhett Lashley was Miami's offensive coordinator before he was at SMU. And then 12th seed Clemson was a wide receiver coach at Clemson way back in the day before he got promoted. And then those other 3 coaches, Clinton, they were hired as sitting head coaches, but from lesser programs than where they were coaching in 2024. James Franklin was at Vanderbilt, which I get it's a Power 4 job, but that was a low-end Power 4 job. Maybe it's not as much anymore because Clark Lee's got him
Don't
humming.
you besmirch that Vanderbilt name. That is
Dude, I won't,
SEC
man.
champ playoff Vandy.
Fuck, dude, I won't, man. They're my second. They're my other Root 4 team this year. I fucking
And
love
40-year-old Diego Pavia
40.
leading them. The 40-year-old virgin.
Listen, I love. No, there's no way, dude. You see how he talks after games. There's no way he's a virgin.
He's getting as much as he wants after any game.
So you had Penn State hired James Franklin from Vanderbilt. IU obviously hired Signetti from JMU, and then Tennessee hired Josh Heupel from UCF when they were still, I think they were in the American before they were in the Big 12, but they were still a G5 team at the time. So there's not a lot of recent success of schools hiring sitting P4 coaches from a similar level. And even if you look at this year, Clinton, of the teams currently ranked in the top 25 as of this week, so if you go back and listen to this episode 3 weeks down the line, this stat may no longer be accurate, but of the teams currently in the top 25 as of October 27th, only 4 of those teams, Clinton, hired their current head coach from a P4 head coaching position of a similar stature. And 2 of those guys, that would be Mario Cristobal going from Oregon to Miami, and I forgot the other one. I can't remember the other one, but it was 2 guys going back to their alma maters. I'm going to have to pull up the fucking top 25 now to refresh my memory. I was literally thinking about this when I was walking the dog today, and I'm like, wow, this is a really good point, Ryan. Good job. And my dumbass forgot it. Oh, bad radio. Sorry. In Louisville, Jeff Brom going from Purdue to Louisville, going back to his alma mater. So the only 2 instances of teams currently in the AP Top 25 hiring a P4 head coach away from their previous position. You have Texas A&M, who hired Mike Elko away from Duke, and again, probably not the same level of job there. And then you had Alabama hiring Kalen DeBoer away from Washington.
Definitely
fresh
not
off
a job there.
Well, no, but I think you could argue that coming off a national title game here, that's a pretty close, you hired a national championship runner-up coach. That's a pretty like-for-like comparison. So the point being is it's rare for that type of hire to work. And there's all the talk about, obviously, well, we want the guy who's done it before, who's done it at this level, but it's just not something that works out all that often. And maybe these athletic directors need to think outside of the box. And I think Brian Hartline definitely would be an outside the box type hire.
I think Joe Brady, not only to mention him for candidacy at Penn State, he's also going to be candidacy for LSU.
Well,
When
I
he
think
was
the
there to
issue with
lead Joe Burrow.
the issue with Joe Brady, I think, is there has been much reported that he hates recruiting.
Yeah, so that's honestly, Ryan, I'm telling you, and I was right about Al Golden last year. I'm telling you who will be on the Bengals coaching watch if Zach Taylor's fired, and that is Joe Brady to come reunite with Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. I think
could
he
see
would
that.
find that as a much more enticing job and
for
not
sure.
having to recruit
For sure.
to do that. And listen, coaching for Mike Brown is no easy feat. I've watched numerous coaches do it, but I think the allure of having his quarterback and his wide receiver back would be pretty damn hard to pass on.
Oh, for sure.
And the problem be if he had to go that far out too, those jobs are going to have to be hired at Penn State and LSU by them, because that's if the Bills push deep playoffs, that's almost February.
for sure. Yeah.
You are then in an Eddie George situation or arguably a Sharon Moore situation or Kalen DeBoer at Washington situation if you're hiring a guy that late. So those jobs will have to be filled before then.
Yeah, and I mean, I've seen it go both ways, right? Like I think when Notre Dame hired Charlie Weiss, they announced that before the playoffs, but then he said like, "Hey, I'm here for my intro. I'll start recruiting a little bit. My focus is on the Super Bowl with the Patriots." But when Notre Dame hired Al Golden, they did not announce that until after the Super Bowl. So, I mean, if we're at a point where if you're trying to go after Joe Brady and he's like, "Well, I'm not doing this till after our season is over," you're going to be waiting well into the offseason beyond when the transfer portal window is, and you're kind of tying two hands behind your back if you try to do that.
Yeah, certainly. It's going to be a fun one to follow, man. And it can still
be
get
crazy.
more interesting for me and you, whereas like if Wisconsin doesn't stay committed, if I think Michigan State's looming with the potential firing of Jonathan Smith, Lincoln Riley's not out of the woods. He's got a lot to prove in the remainder of the season. I could argue if Maryland goes winless the rest of the year, maybe Mike Loxley's not out of the hot seat.
I think
Schiano is still there.
Yeah, I think you're going to end up in a situation with like Wisconsin and Michigan State. Like it would not surprise me if they just waited a year because
They waited a year, or if they would be like a Wisconsin that's like, we're going to bring Jim Leonard back. We should have done this the first time.
Right.
And let
Like if
him
you had
coach
a
his
guy in
team.
mind that you know that you could get, because if you're Michigan State, you have no clue who you're going after. You do not want to be in these waters
No.
with Penn State, LSU, and Florida, and even Arkansas open.
Mhm.
Like that's a
Sure,
comparable
although
job to you.
I think Bobby Petrino is making a hard push to try to get that job, and I think Arkansas
Well,
might just stay with him.
I mean, they just lost to Auburn, so maybe not.
He did, but they've had success before with him. He caught with sleeping with a young beautiful intern in a motorcycle accident. All that trauma's over. Maybe they go that route again.
People don't forget.
Maybe Nick Saban comes back to his alma mater and coaches Michigan State.
Dude, that'd be insane. That would truly be insane.
Wouldn't that be gnarly? I'm sorry, his alma mater's Kent State. Maybe he goes back to where he started
well,
run with coaching at Michigan
I mean,
State.
Kent State's job's probably going to be open too. Well, maybe not because Kent State's
No,
actually
dog.
going okay.
They just kicked your Bowling Green's ass.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about that. Offense is bad.
And
Do you want to
Akron
move
beat
on?
Buffalo. Oof.
Yeah, do you want to move on to this 2014 playoff
Let's
real
do
quick
it.
before dudes? Because I know you got some shiz to do tonight.
Yeah. So what brought this to mind? Honestly, I hadn't even been thinking about, we talked about this in the summer that it was going to come to this point where they had to make a decision if we're going to stay at 12 beyond 2026 or if they were going to expand. And over the summer and part of spring, we mostly just heard the 16-team playoff ideas, right? And that seemed to never be enough because why can't we just have every single team just get a participation trophy and make the playoff? So listening to the Joel Klatt podcast last week, he brought back up the proposed 24-team model that now is being discussed, and it will be decided upon. I was trying to see if there's an exact date here. It's a December 1st deadline that the committee will either expand from the 12-team format or not. Here's how the 24-team playoff format breaks down. The 4 power conferences, ACC, Big 10, Big 12, SEC, would get 4 automatic qualifiers, where there would also be 2 total automatic qualifiers from the non-power group of 6 conferences, the American, the Conference USA, the MAC, the Mountain West, the Sun Belt, and the Pac-12. I guess we're still calling the Pac, they're going to be the Pac-West here soon. To help round out the 24-team field, 6 at-large teams would make the tournament, one would presume generally most years one of those would be Notre Dame. The 6 at-large bids would be the only teams that the committee gets to pick for the college football playoff. So that was point number one as to why Klatt thinks this would be helpful, is you reduce the amount of effect of the committee, in a sense. It's sticking their hands in here and potentially holding a team out or having an SEC bias, whatever it is. Then you look at the 8 how you do the seeding is the 8 highest ranked teams get a first round bye. So as of last week, Ryan, Ohio State would get a bye. It'd be Ohio State, where's to Indiana, Texas A&M, Alabama, Georgia, Oregon, Georgia Tech, Ole Miss. And then the caveat to not only getting that first round bye is with these 24 teams, you get 2 rounds of these teams getting to host games on campus. So you would get your first batch of the 9 through 24, and then whoever wins their games then would go to Ohio State, Ole Miss, Alabama. So you get 2 rounds of on-campus games, which could be pretty fun, keeping in the spirit of college football. And then finally, Klatt's point was he likes the idea of each power conference having a defined number of automatic bids for the college football playoff because it helps boost the regular season. And this is where he kind of loses me. You need to quote, you need to increase the number of valuable regular season games both in non-conference and in conference. So you need to make conference games more valuable. Well, you do that by increasing the value of finishing in the top 4 of these Power 4 conferences. I think you need to create that desirability of big, strong matchups in the non-conference. You need to engage fan bases more. So, Ryan, my one problem with this is why does this necessarily make it more likely that the Power 4 teams are going to square off? I know the SEC signed their deal where they're all going to do the one tough win, yada, yada. But why does that make them more likely to do that? Why wouldn't you just be like, well, to hell with that. I'm going to guarantee myself a shot at nailing a top 4 or top 8 seed to get a bye. Why do I want to go play Georgia if I'm Ohio State? Why do I want to go play Oregon if I'm Alabama? Just your kind of thoughts on this 24-team possible expansion.
Yeah, I don't. Why are we even playing a regular season then? Like, let's just, we're like, the more that we talk about the expansion of this playoff is, to me, just an excuse to make sure that all of these mid-tier SEC and Big Ten teams can say that they were in the playoff despite doing nothing on the field to earn it. And it's this discussion that we had earlier this year about the dumbass play-in tournament. I don't need to see an 8-4 Big Ten team squaring off against a 9-3 Big Ten team for a chance to be in the college football playoff just to get their ass kicked by Texas in the first round. Like, I don't need to see that. And, like, I guess on the one hand, if you're looking for positives with this, I mean, it's more football, which is good.
More technically football.
Well, yes, but the trade-off of that is you have to shorten the season somewhere. Whether that's we're now starting in mid-August, which sounds just disgusting, or whether we're cutting a week off the regular season and now we're playing only 11 games, which good for player safety, given that we're adding 2 more rounds to the playoffs, but also that kind of sucks. You'd have to get rid of conference championship games. There's no point to play a conference championship game now. And I can't see a world where conferences are going to forsake that revenue.
Yeah.
I mean, they need to get rid of conference championships anyway. They don't serve any purpose at this point. But it's just cool, man. Like, why? Why does the 24th best team in America deserve to be in the playoff? I don't care.
Which in this case would be Tulane, which is your G5. But if you look at your 22nd, right? Like Illinois versus BYU, then drawing Oregon, then potentially getting A&M. Do you think Illinois is really going to make a run?
No.
We're just putting more hits. Like, just cut that shit and let me look at A&M versus Oregon.
It's like
quarterfinal.
Yeah, because we're getting, and I get, like, people said this about the 12-team playoff, and I mean, in a way, I guess it proved itself true last year with, well, you're just giving Georgia and Alabama and Ohio State more chances to make the playoff, which I guess they did last year. But, like, those teams are never going to miss the playoff now. And you're doing it at the expense of, we're just going to put all these mediocre-ass teams in the playoff just to end up with the same Final Four again. So why did we need to add 2 extra steps to this to get to the same place that we were going to get with 12?
Yeah, I agree. I'm back on your spot with the player safety thing. Like, don't you dare pitch that shit to me, NCAA or playoff, whatever you want to say, that you're about player safety, because expanding the season does not do that anymore. That just puts them at risk. It expands the college football calendar. And I love football. I don't want to complain about more football. How much more value does it add? And I know Klatt's all about like trying to expand the game and get more fan bases engaged. And like, the 12-team playoff did a pretty good job of that. I don't need to now
For
double
sure.
that.
And there's still drama at the
to
end of
have
the
it
year.
even more. Yes.
Like, what
And
drama
you know what?
is there going to be at the end of a season with a 24-team playoff? It's going to be, oh man, we're 8-3 heading into the last game of the season. Really hope we don't drop this game to fucking Cal
Yeah,
to ruin our playoff chances.
absolutely.
Like, if you're in that spot, you shouldn't. If you're in that spot, you should not be in playoff discussion. It's absurd.
Yes. And I think where Ryan and I's argument on the other side of it's negating the regular season, because the regular season used to mean something is if you lost one game, you may not make jack shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it makes it more enticing from the standpoint that your team is not out if they lose 2 to 3 games. But that's what I loved about college football, right? That's my differentiating factor from what the NFL was, is that cool, like my team can go 9-8 and make the playoffs and they're still viable to win a Super Bowl. I don't necessarily want that to be in college football.
No.
Like I want it to mean something that I've already had to change my mind. And yes, I enjoyed the 12-team playoff last year. Cool. If you get 2 losses, you're still in. That's fine. 2 losses teams, sometimes it's injuries that you suffer and you miss out, something like that. Ask Florida State about it a few years ago. And cool. I can get around that a 10-2 team obviously can win a national championship. Ohio State did it last year. Notre Dame, who lost to a MAC team early in the season, got their shit right and made it to a national championship appearance.
Mm-hmm.
You're not selling me that an 8-4 team is going to make the national championship and even be that competitive.
Well, and here's this from my perspective too, because I know we got a lot of people who were talking about how 12 teams devalues the regular season. I've been sitting here as a Notre Dame fan shitting my pants for the last 6 weeks, knowing that they can't lose another game or they're out, and even then it still might not be good enough. If you push this shit to 24, there'd be no purpose of me watching the rest of their schedule, because they're going to cakewalk through these next 5 teams. And even if they stub their toe against Navy, oh cool, we're 9-3, we're still in the playoff. Whoop-de frickin' do. That should not be a playoff team. Like, that should not be a situation where you're sitting in as a fan and being like, oh yeah, whatever, we went 9-3 this year, we're going to play for the playoff now. This is absurd. It's not college football.
Yeah.
It's not the sport that I grew up with, damn it.
Yeah. And listen, I'm going to be the first to sit here and tell you, if it expands to 24, I'm still going to watch football because I love college football. You're never going to take that away from me. But at some point, enough is enough. I mean, Jesus, we just talked about this. They're trying to make the damn March Madness to like 82. And I'm like, just stop.
Yeah.
We don't need this much. At some point, it stops feeling special. I don't need more one versus or fucking play in 16 seed games for March Madness. Just play the damn thing, right? Like, goodness sakes. So overall, I'm intrigued to see where it goes. We got about 6 weeks before we get there. Let's see what they decide. And money speaks volumes. And if that's what they're going to get, then I think they're going to find their way to this.
Shall we move on?
Let's do it. Dudes.
You want to introduce this?
Well, this is in a week we introduced it at the beginning of the show. You want me to rehash it again?
No,
So
that's fine.
we used to do last year. We did multiple times Dudes of the Week. So given that this is week 10, we just completed week 9. Instead of Dudes of the Week, just feeling like we're reiterating essentially an ITP Rollin Player of the Week, we're selecting dudes that we think have had the most impact on their team thus far this year. Players that have just impressed us on the whole for the teams that we cover, and this can range from Big Ten, Notre Dame, MAC, of the areas that we cover. Ryan, since you have 5 and I have 4, why don't you go ahead and kick us off with your first dude?
I did 5, and most of mine are from the Matt Clinton, because there's been some ballers on a budget in the Mid-American Conference this year. I want to start with
your voice, Ryan. There's been some dudes.
There's been some dudes. I have Nathan Voorhis, defensive end from Ball State. He is tied for second nationally this season with 10 sacks. Fantastic player. He is part of why Ball State, I think, has been exceeding expectations a little bit this year. Good player.
Absolutely.
Hopefully, I wonder what Power 4 team he's going to be on next year. Sorry.
That's the G5 Mac pillaging that's coming.
Yeah, just kidding.
Number one for me was Justice Haynes. I did not think that this was much of an impactful transfer when he came from Bama because he got playing time at Bama, but I thought it was just a Michigan reach. Well, Haynes has been anything but. He has been phenomenal. And then, we'd argue Coleman's best back in the Big Ten. Justice Haynes might actually have the right to best back in the Big Ten. 121 carries, 857 yards, 10 touchdowns. He's averaging 7.1 yards per carry, Ryan. The guy is damn near getting a first down on his own every time he runs the ball. This is all adding to the fact he did not play against Washington, and he didn't play a second half against USC. And he had 50 yards in the first half against USC, so one could surmise that he would have had over 100 yards in that game as well. He could damn near, if he plays those game and a half, be over 1,000 yards 9 games through the season.
He's been
That
awesome.
is fantastic. He has been the lifeblood of this Michigan offense. Yes, I know Jordan Marshall's been good, but if you take Haynes away,
Oh, they suck.
I
They're
don't know
bad.
if Michigan is sitting at the record they have right now.
No, they probably lose to Nebraska and maybe someone else. I also had Justice Haynes, but I threw Emmett Johnson in here too. They are 4th and 5th nationally in rush yards for the season. So I just wanted to give Emmett Johnson some love too. He's been awesome. He's been awesome this year.
Absolutely. Do you want me to run my next one, or you want to give your next? Okay. The next one, I'm staying with running back, Caleb Komolafe, running back of Northwestern. 124 carries, 608 yards, 7 touchdowns. He's at a 4.9 yards per carry average, but just the impact he's had for this team, every week he's pretty much sitting. Again, in the Nebraska loss we talked about earlier, 17 carries, 125 yards, with 7.4 yards per carry, 2 touchdowns. He was huge for them in the win over UCLA with 27 carries, 119 yards, 1 touchdown. He also had against ULM. It wasn't a big day yardage, but he had 2 touchdowns. Penn State was a huge factor for them to help pull that upset in Happy Valley. Very big impact. Not a guy that I saw coming out being this much of an impact for a Northwestern team who sits at what? They just had their 3rd loss. They are 5-3 and getting ready to challenge USC as their next game on November 7th.
Yes, and you got to think too, Clinton. He was 3rd string coming into the season because he was behind Joe Hyman and Cam Porter, who got hurt in the Western Illinois game.
And so nobody saw that coming. If you had Caleb Komolafe being the Wildcats' leading rusher on your bingo card, then you should cash that in.
I'd have to go back and listen to our Northwestern
Matt
preview. 'Cause I feel like he might have vaguely mentioned him. So good for Matt. Sticking with the defense, I went Bishop Fitzgerald, defensive back for USC. He is leading, tied for 1st in college football with 5 interceptions this year. Give the defensive guy some love.
Absolutely. I'm going defensive guy as well, but I'll do that last because for some reason I lost my tab that had him up there.
So
Nope,
embarrassing.
I got it now. Sorry. I got to give a Buckeye shout out. Arvell Reese. I know a lot of people were familiar with Sonny Styles and his play last year, but Arvell Reese has kind of came out of nowhere for those who are on a national scale compared to Buckeye fans who've known about him for years. He sits with 42 total tackles on the season, 23 solo, 19 assisted, 5.5 sacks. And if you just watch the film and the tape, how much this 6'4", 243-pound monster impacts a game and an offensive game plan, then I suggest you go watch him if you haven't, because he is an alien, and he's going to be a first-round linebacker in this year's draft, easily.
Agreed. Also on the defensive side of the ball, Clinton, I have Quinn Erweiler, linebacker from Northern Illinois. He leads college football with 53 solo tackles, and he's 3rd nationally with 97 total tackles. He has been all over the field for the Huskies.
And you had to do a lot of tackling when OU was running all over him last week.
That's true.
Anyways, aside, now my last guy is, I could have went with, I feel like, 4 people from Rutgers, being Ethan Kelly-McManus, and then the 3 receivers. But of the 3, I've been thoroughly impressed with KJ Duff. 42 catches, 761 yards, 18.1 yard per reception, Ryan, and has 5 TDs on the season. Yes, I know Rutgers just got their first Big Ten win, But
He's
that's
been good,
because
though.
they don't have a defense, guys. It is not because their offense lacks. Pretty much the only time they lacked on offense this year was when they got punched in the mouth by Oregon. Other than that, this Rutgers offense has been tough for everyone to stop, and KJ Duff is a huge part of that reason.
I'm surprised you didn't go with this last one, Clinton. We talked about him in our MAC preview as a guy who would need to step up this year to replace Coleman Owen, and he has. Chase Hendricks, Ohio University wide receiver. He is third in the nation with both catches and yards, 57 catches for 805 yards, has stepped up as Parker Navarro's go-to man.
Yeah, I thought I would refrain from being a double homer and only have one homer pick on this show.
Well, he's been awesome. He's been awesome this year.
So there are so many guys to pick from, and I feel like we could list 10, 15 apiece, but that is what
sure.
the fun of the challenge is that to limit yourself just to a few. And for all those Michigan fans who think I can't say anything nice about your team, there you go. I gave your guy Justice Haynes as my number one most impactful player so far this season. So let's see what he can do for you.
I will not say anything nice about your team, and not even your own fans are saying anything nice about your team. One of my coworkers texted me during the game on Saturday. He said, "Is it bad that I'm rooting for Michigan State because I want us to fire this bum?" In reference to their head coach.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what could speed that along is if Northwestern gets pretty trippy, and so does Maryland with him.
That's true. Cool, man. That is all for tonight. Clint, I know you got to get out of here. We'll get out of here. We'll be back with you guys Thursday night at 9 or 9:15, depending on how drenched Clinton gets during trick-or-treating.
How that wet trick-or-treat goes.
But you can find us live on the YouTube or on Twitter at ITPCFB. Find us there.